If you're ready to take your destiny into your own hands, you've come to the right place. This is The Bulletproof Entrepreneur, featuring interviews with the most exciting and amazing entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Chi Odogu.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the show today. If you love what you hear on today's episode of the podcast, go to iTunes and leave a review and a comment. It helps other great listeners like yourself find the show. And of course, you can always find more episodes of the Bulletproof Entrepreneur podcast at www.odogwu.com. And without further ado, on with the show. Hello?
Yes.
All right, good. We're good to go. And in 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, happy Valentine's Day 2014, February 14. I said 2014. 2018, February 14 is Valentine's Day. I have the distinctive pleasure of hosting the sexy boss herself, Heather Havenwood of Havenwood Worldwide. So let me just give you a brief intro to Heather, and then she'll talk a little bit about herself, and we'll get rocking and rolling with the interview. Heather was named one of the top 50 most followed women in the Huffington Post. She's built marketing businesses and online businesses since 1999, so that's like almost 17, 18 years she's been in this online game. She started her business in 2000, another business in 2006, and within 18 months, it grew to $1 million in sales. Of course, Heather is not bulletproof. In about 2007, she went through a very difficult time financially and business-wise. She lost everything and had to fight her way back to becoming the success that she is today. She's the author of her book titled Sexy Boss, and it just helps. Her book is basically the story of her life, as well as her sharing how to help women and basically anyone that needs it, how to take control and take charge of your life and get yourself on the path to success. She hosts her own podcast titled The Win, and I mean she does a lot. She has a supplement company, she has a publishing company, information product, and just a whole lot of stuff. So I'm pleased to have her on the show today to tell us a little bit about herself, her business, her background, and everything that she has going on in her life, as well as, since it's Valentine's Day, we're going to have some Valentine advice for those of you out there that are trying to go get dates. If you're single or if you're in a relationship, she's going to teach you how to be a sexy boss in your relationship. So with that said, Heather, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's to you. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for spending time with me on my Valentine's Day.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. So where are you right now?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm born and raised Texas girl, but lived all over. Yeah, Austin's not that great today. It's not that beautiful, but that's okay. It's all good. It's all good. A lot of fun. So thanks for having me. This is going to be a ton of fun. I've learned in the green room, what we were talking earlier, I call the green room, that the name of bulletproof in your native language is Asishu. I messed it up. Audacious.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so out of game. Okay, audacious. And I'm audacious sexy boss.
Yeah.
I love that you shared that with me. I love learning new languages. I'm not that great at languages, but I do love learning, words that mean something in other languages. So thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure. Fun stuff. So I told everyone a little bit about you, Heather. So let's hear it from you yourself. Tell us a little bit about your origin story, how you became the sexy boss.
Sexy boss. It wasn't always like that. So I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I was kind of bred to just get an MRS degree, which means just get married with babies. And I didn't really understand that because that's not really what I wanted to do, but that was what I was kind of told to do. And then I didn't do that, but I started my career in corporate America at the very young age of 25. Yeah. And when I walked into, and I'm sharing this story because it's really important. When I walked into the corporate job, I was young. I was 25. I didn't have my degree yet. And as the hiring manager said to me, "You're super cute, so you should be customer service." And I said, "No, I want to learn sales," because I didn't know that the power of sales. I didn't know that if you want to go anywhere in life, you got to learn sales. And I said, "No, I want to be in sales." And he kind of smirked at me and laughed and said, "That's adorable," because I was applying for a B2B outside sales job, and I was 25, and the average B2B salesperson was a man over 40. So he was very much like, that's cute, you're adorable, like a little doll, you know? And I ended up actually getting the job because his boss was a woman, and she said, like, give her a shot. Like, what's the worst can happen? We'll throw in customer service and she's to make it, right? Yeah. So I actually ended up being there for a year. And my last year I was there, which in B2B sales is a long time. You know, 4 years for B2B outside sales, commission jobs like that, big telecom companies in Dallas. 4 years was considered senior, you know? And so my last year I was there, I was actually number one in the country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at the very young age, 28, 29. This is 1999, 2000, right before 9/11, and doing very well. And then I got fired. And here's the critical piece. Like, I got the, like, pat on the head. Congratulations, you've done very well. And they gave me, obviously, my money. But then they said, you're booted out. And I didn't really understand what was happening because in my view, I was taught, right, go work for a big company, make them money. They give you little, we're all happy.
Yeah, they take care of you.
Right, they take care of me, I take care of them, we're all kumbaya, right? And so that wasn't happening, and I was super confused. And so here's this moment. This is the moment. I feel like entrepreneurship finds the person. People don't find entrepreneurship. And it's because I think entrepreneurship is kind of like a tapping. It finds the people that is supposed to be. Every person I know who's a successful entrepreneur has some crazy story that had started in some weird business or career, and now they're an entrepreneur. Like one of my dear friends, he was a cop. I'm like, you're a cop? No way. You're like crazy. You know, so he's like, I was a cop. Like, there's no way you're a cop. So, but that's what happens. They start somewhere, and then, like, I think they find their path. And that's what happened to me. I'm just going to tell you this one piece. So I'm sitting there on my friend's couch. I just gotten fired. It's about 6 months later. I don't have a job. All my friends are telling me, just go get another corporate job. You know, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do, but I didn't want that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense, right? And so I'm sitting there on my friend's couch, and her husband at the time, brand new husband's like flipping the channel. He goes to get a beer, and it stops on an infomercial.
Okay.
And, you know, it's like, come to our seminar tomorrow at 1:00. Right? And I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. Because all the infomercial said was, do you want to own your life? Do you want to make more money? And I'm like, yeah, whatever that is, I'm there, right? Yeah. So I get there. I'm sitting in my seat, 1:00. I'm by myself. I'm like 28 years old, single. And, of course, they're doing this whole presentation. They're selling me into a $3,000 program, right? I'm like, I don't have that cash. I don't have the credit, actually. And then they said the magic words, for your spouse, it's 1,000. And I'm like, yeah. So I nudged the stranger next to me.
Yeah.
True story. Bob, Joe, Bobby, no clue what his name is. And I'm like, hey, can I be your spouse? And he's like, sure. Like, so we go to the back of the room. He drops $3,000. Right. I drop a K, different credit cards, different last names, different addresses, no ring. I'm totally lying. The people happily took my money, though, in the back of the room. They're like, we're happily to take your $1,000. So what happened is the people running the event were like, you're different. You're a hustler.
Yeah.
Like, you lied. We're happy to take your money. But, like,
you got something.
Like, you're different. Yeah. I ended up working for that company and traveling the country, doing events and seminars, learning the art of direct response marketing all the way from 2001 to 2005, 6, 7. I did over 450 events across the country. That's how I became an entrepreneur.
Nice. And I also see that in your book, the foreword was written by Joe Sugarman. So I have to tell you the story. Like, when I was leaving New York to go start an e-commerce business in Africa, I knew that one thing I needed to learn was sales. So I bought a ton of books. One of the books was Joe Sugarman's Triggers and Advertising Secrets of the Written Word. So I don't know if many people. Right here. Yeah. So I don't know. Here. Yeah, a lot of people might not know this book, but trust me, if you get this book and you go through it word for word and just do the exercise, man, it'll teach you a whole new way to communicate and be more persuasive in whatever you're doing. Because in Africa, usually we lose power because it just works that way. Power comes, power goes. And when I find myself bored, no TV, nothing to do, no internet, I'll just get the book, I'll read the book, practice, and I think I don't know if it's his book, but I know somebody else mentioned, you learn copywriting by actually absorbing the great copy of other people. So you look for other people's examples, and then you start writing it out by hand. So I just write it out by hand, and I got Joe's stuff, I got Gary Halbert's, a lot of people's stuff. And when you start using these things, you never know when they express themselves. It could come out in, like we're speaking right now, in podcasting, with you being able to present yourself persuasively and me asking questions persuasively, to writing a sales letter, to making a video. So it's a great skill for anyone to learn at any stage, just because the applications are so varied, and it's such a, what I call it, a high value skill that is underutilized, not underutilized, but underestimated by many people.
What's really interesting about that is I did an event with Joe Sugar. It was me and Joe Sugarman, and in 2013 in Vegas. It was Joe Sugarman, John Carlton, Joe Polish, John Benson, and myself.
Yeah.
Profound. And what's interesting about that event, if you don't know who we're talking about premier, grade A, copywriters. Some people that were missing were Dan Kennedy and Gary Halbert, who's no longer here on this planet. The people that were really missing were those guys, I think. I mean, they were just profound. And then, of course, other copywriters came to the event. So we had other, top grade copywriters within themselves were there too. Harlan, Kevin, so because they want to see their teachers, you know what I mean? So the room was full of copywriters, and it's called Success Magnet Seminar, and it's .com, and you can still buy the DVDs today. And it was such a profound, because I kept telling people the reason I was doing the event was because I think the number one skill set all entrepreneurs have to learn is copywriting. Yeah. Right. You don't understand copywriting or understand how to do it or create it. You really have no idea what you're doing as a business owner. And I say that in the most truly loving way possible. Yeah. So triggers, I actually, if you go to my website, Sexy Boss Inc., and you opt in, the bonus, the thank you, basically, is my book and the, I think it's 10 audios of Joe Sugarman talking about triggers. Oh, wow. Yeah. And so someone interviewed, it wasn't me, someone interviewed him on all of the triggers. There's 30. So they did an audio of each 30 triggers of him explaining each one. And it was just super profound. So I actually had those audios at sexybossinc.com. Not trying to throw it in. No. So I wanted to kind of let people know that's my gift. Yeah. To people, because I think it's truly the number one skill set on the planet you need to learn. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. Yeah. So moving from that, you travel with this company, you work with them, and then how did you transition from that into launching your own business and making $1 million in, is it 12 months or 18 months, something like that? So there's two. There's 2006 was $0 to $1 million in 1 year and 12 months. And then I did it again in 2015, 16 with the company. Austin, 0 to 1.5 in 18 months. Okay. Once you learn the art of understanding how to launch businesses, you can again and again. Now, both of those businesses are still in existence and they're still viable, but I had business partners on both, and both of them now own those businesses, have been passed on to them. So please understand that's what's happening, right? Yeah. So, but I was there from the inception, and I am a driver. Yeah. So my verb in life is I drive. Therefore, I am. I learned that from Alex Mandossian. It's something that when you learn your verb, meaning it's kind of something you already do. Okay. But when you're truly aware of it, you can see through your life why you've done what you've done. And I'm a driver. I'm a person that takes something literally and just drives it up the mountain. I'm not good at a plateauing thing. So when it gets into what I call ongoing management and operations, I get really bored with that. Yeah. I pass that on. The detail. One in, right? Yeah. I'm like, there's no fun here. We're like going 10 miles an hour in a straight line, So I'm a driver. So clients come to me when either they're on a plateau and they want to drive again, or they're stuck somewhere and they're not getting up the mountain. That's where I come in. Yeah. So to answer your question, when I started traveling the country doing events, I was learning copywriting.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Copywriting, and I was going to city by city by city, to give you an idea, city by city by city, and we'd walk into a room, right, of strangers, and we had 90 minutes to present to them whatever and extract $3,000 out of their pocket. You have to learn quickly the art of know, like, trust, persuasion, influence quickly. If not, we ate ramen noodles that night. Sometimes we got to have Ruth Chris. Ruth Chris steak.
Yeah.
Like ramen noodles, so we had to learn as a team, the speaker and the three people in the back, how to quickly create this experience.
Okay.
They do that now online a lot, but imagine walking to a room of 100 strangers, thinking to yourself, to eat tonight, I got to extract $3,000 out of 15% of the people. And I don't know anything about them at all. I don't know. All I can see is their faces and make judgments based on their faces, what they're wearing, which is necessary. As you know, a book, you can't really judge someone by what they're wearing. You really have no idea how successful they are, if they have money in the bank, by what they look like. So we had to let all that go and figure out a way to sell. So I learned that. And so in 2005, I had a client come to me and say, hey, I teach people how to buy and sell houses. I do this really well. I've been doing it a long time, but I don't know how to market the information. So they came to me and I said, okay, well, you do that thing really well. That's cool. Let's stay there. Right. That's what I call his message.
Yeah.
And I market it. And there's 3 levels. There's media, market, message. I work with, you have a message. It's not my job to say
what your message is.
Right? Your widget is your message. And then how do I get your message out to the media, the marketplace? Now, I might alter your message, how it's packaged, but I'm not going to alter the content. It's not my job to ever do that.
Yeah.
So I market it. So we went from $0 to $1 million in 1 year. It did very well. Now, how I ended up in bankruptcy and foreclosure is because he's a bad business partner. And he just emptied all the bank accounts and took the business and just kind of left it dry. And so he's still today. That's honestly not on him. That's because I didn't. Here's my lesson, right? I always think it happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Actually, everything happens for a best. Sorry. And part of that best was I learned how to legally take care of myself and how to lawyer and how to say, hey, great idea. Let's get lawyers involved. As entrepreneurs, we want to go really fast. And as business people, you've got to go slow it down.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned from that situation.
And you just worked at getting the lessons from that incident, Yeah. So what was your frame of mind like in that situation? Because you were rocking and rolling, making a lot of money. All of a sudden, you have the rug pulled from under you, and then you're penniless. You're broke, so to speak, for a year plus.
I was, yeah.
Yeah. you were broke, nothing. How did that hit you in your psyche, in your soul, and what did it take for you to come back to the position where you were you know what, I have to overcome this and I have to move forward?
Took a lot. I'm not, it's going back. It's challenging to talk about. It's not something that I'm proud of it now. I'm okay with it. I remember when I was going through the process, a friend of mine, Alex Mandossian, called me and said, one day you're going to write a book about this. And I'm pretty sure I yelled at him and said some 4-letter cuss words to him. And I was like, pretty much, hell no. But I said it more succinctly because I was really ashamed.
Yeah.
Process and what was happening, because in my world I was smart. I'm smart, I'm intelligent. Why is this happening to me? I've been surrounding myself with other entrepreneurs and millionaires for 6 years, 7 years. How is this happening to me? Smarter than this. There's all that stuff that happens, and then there's the shame and then the guilt and then the victimization, all these different feelings. It was a challenging, I would say way more than challenging time. It changed me. It changed me and who I am and how I present to the world. But I ended up living on people's couches, and you find out who your friends are, and you find who really aren't your friends. Yeah. You find out a lot about yourself when you go through something, a catastrophe. For every entrepreneur I've come across, successful, has had something similar. Now, if I've been my situation, it could have been an accident, it could have been a divorce, it could have been a child's death. I mean, everyone I know has had some kind of disaster in their life that changed them. Gary Halbert, he went to jail. I mean, changed.
I think I call it the inciting incident that actually brings you to the tipping point of where you need to turn your life around.
And I did turn my life around from a different place where before I was thrown into working for this company and traveling the country, and it was just kind of this, wow, this is cool, to who the hell am I? What am I doing here? What happened? And I had to dig deep for me and figure out, who am I? Like, really, who am I? And we're talking on February 14th here, 2018. So I have to just acknowledge something that I think this is such a great piece. Last night, Shaun White won the Olympic, the gold. And I watched him, and I was like so teared up because the reason I was so teared up with him, one, he's just phenomenal as a person. 4 months ago, he had a huge accident. He had a huge accident on his face.
Wow.
And he talked about how he had to really look at himself. And then the 4 years before this, the Winter Olympics in Sochi, he didn't win, and it was devastating. He talks a lot about, like, he had to really look at, who am I? What am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And so he had to really dig deep, and he talked about how he's glad it all happened because it's got him to a better place and who he is, and it's stronger. And you can see that. And I feel like when he won the gold for himself, but he won the gold for every person, including myself, that has those moments of like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why am I on this path? This is crazy. Why am I building this business? I should just go get a job. Like, what am I doing here? It's these moments where you just go, what is that? What's my dream? Why am I going through all this pain? And seeing Shaun just win, I started crying for him because I just felt the relief of, like, it was worth it. Yeah. And that's where I think I found my peace, was when I finally got who I am as an entrepreneur. And then I moved to Austin and started companies.
Nice.
It's a core piece. Like, he had to get to for himself, and I'm making this up. I didn't hear this, but I'm kind of guessing.
Yeah.
He get who he was as an athlete and who he is as an Olympian. Like, it's just who he is. He breathes it. He had to get to that core piece of himself. And for me, I had to get to that for myself as who I am as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, I think from what you're saying right now, that's where you got the chapter of finding your fire, which was in your book, because basically you were coming from a place of brokenness and pain. And then, you have to ignite that fire that says, no matter what is obstructing my view, no matter what is keeping me down, once the fire is lit, I just have to keep it burning and just keep going.
There's that, and then the other piece I just kind of keep going back to, which is probably the most profound piece, of when you get who you are, and I keep going back to that because it's a spiritual quest. I think of Michael Jordan right now, just because he got at some point in his life who he is as an athlete. Yeah. It didn't matter if he was playing basketball, then he went to baseball or something, then he went to like golf. It didn't matter the game he was playing. And so when I got to who I was as an entrepreneur, and by the way, when I got that, like what I mean by got, like spiritually, energetically, physically, when I got that, I was sitting on a beach broke, right? Like
broke to broke.
I got like, if somebody homeless came up to me and be like, I don't know, you probably got more than me. Like, I got nothing. Yeah. So how do you get who you are when you're sitting there without the thing? Shaun White got who he is as an Olympian before he ever got to the
Olympic medal.
Yeah, before. So you have to get who you are first. So then I moved to Austin and thought, well, who I am as an entrepreneur, I'm not a tree, I can move, which is a key piece. That's a life lesson that one of my amazing mentors told me. You're not a tree, you can move. Yeah. Then go surround yourself with other entrepreneurs. And if I'm an entrepreneur, then what you do as entrepreneurs, you do what? You create commerce. You create business. You create. And it doesn't matter if it works, fails. You're not attached.
to the thing.
Right. So even if Shaun White didn't win, I'm clear if he did not win gold, he still would have been at peace.
Yeah.
You could tell, like at the moment, he was like, I'm at peace no matter what happens. You know, who I am is still an Olympian and who I am is still an athlete. And it didn't matter. And it happened. So I think that's the key piece, I think, that all entrepreneurs get to at some level along their journey.
Well, no, that's very profound. It's basically saying that no matter what the outcome is, you know what, I'm still the man. I'm still the sexy boss. I'm still the Olympian. Yeah. I'm still the doctor. Even though you get sued for malpractice, you're still you. You know, whoever your internal construct is, whoever your soul or your spirit, whatever you want to call it, whoever that person is what you will always be, regardless. Like it takes me to. I remember, like, during the 2008-2009 recession in the US, I was in grad school at the time, and then we were watching on CNBC, and I think this was in Singapore or one of those places, and they were talking to one of the richest men there because he had a lot of his net worth tied in the US in investments. And then everything crashed, and so the reporter goes to meet him, and he's playing golf on the golf course. And they're like, dude, you just lost like 50% of your net worth or something. Why are you on the golf course? And the guy was like, it's no big deal. I knew what I did to make the billion or whatever. I'm not going to go cry because I lost everything in one day. I knew what I did to make it. I'll just do the same thing and then I'll make it. And he's still the richest man now. I'll never forget that. So it's
really good. It's the same thing. It's like he knew who he was. Yeah. And so, okay, that one failed. Okay. Right. Yeah. I mean, I built like 3 businesses since 2000 when I got here, 2009-10, and
30 businesses.
3.
Okay, 3.
Not 30. I like to do 30. But I now work with companies all the time and help me build theirs, and so I feel like I'm in 30. Yeah. But I think what I would say when he happened is he got who he was, and when you know how to create money once or create whatever you want, and you do it again and again and again. You know, I think of Shaun White again. I remember they were showing his progression. I think the first time he ever won gold, you could see in his face he was like shocked. You know, like, I did that. Whoa, you know. But then the next time he was like, yeah, I was determined. And then the next time he didn't. And then this time it was like, he is here. He's clear how to do this. Got this, you know. And I think that's what you become a master at your thing, whatever it is. And so the lesson of you're not a tree I can move. I mean, you experienced that. You told me in the green room you moved, but just to give it another context, if you want to be on Wall Street, you want to be a Wall Street broker, you go to New York. Yeah, you don't try to do that from Lexington, Kentucky. Yeah, right. Yeah. If you want to be an actor and actress right here in the States, you go to LA or Atlanta right now. That's where it's hot. You don't try to do that from Podunk, North Dakota. Yeah, or Lynchburg, Virginia. Or Virginia. Yeah, you move. If you want to be in politics, you move to DC. Yeah. My point is that if you want something, sometimes you've got to move yourself, literally, physically, and intellectually, and mindset. Like, okay, I'm not going to go try to become a Wall Street broker sitting in Austin, Texas. Now, clearly, there are some here, but they're probably not as successful as the ones in New York. Yeah. Right? So go surround yourself with other people until then you want to leave, or until then you figure it out, or whatever it is. And that's a key piece. And that I remember, even there's one more thing. So I remember yesterday again listening to the Olympic, and every single person that was from different cities and countries, Japan and New York and all these, whatever, Canada. They always would say, so and so is representing Canada or Japan, but they reside in, and all of them resided in Colorado. Wow. Why? Because that's where training is. Surrounded by their people, they're surrounded by the culture. They're in the half pipe with these guys, but they're representing different countries. Yeah. But where they live, Breckenridge, right? Yeah, because you have to surround yourself with like minds. Yeah, you got to be around the people. So hope that helps. Great, yeah, perfect. Nice segue to what you're doing now in your coaching business, because I know your business is kind of targeted to women. So tell us a little bit more about how you help your coaching clients achieve their goals in terms of there was something here you said, before I forget that, you said you're a master of the art of launching. So let's tie that into your coaching.
practice.
Master of art of launching. I'm still going to grab that. I am, but I've never heard someone else say it about me. But it's true. I love launching.
Yeah. I
like launching. First of all, 60% of my clients are men.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Like me. And a lot of that's because I'm really straight.
Yeah.
And I'm direct, but I'm loving, so anything like that. But 60% of my clients are men, and I've always worked with men, actually.
Yeah.
I've only recently started focusing on women, mainly because it's just truly a passion of mine, and I desire for women to have their own business. It's more just me empowering more women.
Yes.
But 50% of my clients are men. If I had to really look at probably a little bit more than that.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, and that's fine. That's fine.
No, right? Because reading the book Sexy Boss, I knew the perspective you were coming at it. So I thought that's where the business was focused.
It is. But I have majority of my clients are men.
Yes. And of course you can't say no, because you're basically you're the guru. They want to get the knowledge from, like, a thirsty man will get water from wherever he needs to get water.
Yeah. I mean, there's a way to market specifically, and then then there's the clients. You know, so like I said, most of the clients I have are men.
Yeah.
But I'm also like a supporter of women.
Yeah. Of course.
So that's why. But majority of my clients are men. So anyway, the Sexy Boss, the intention behind that book was to share my personal story and to get it out.
Yeah.
Like I said, Alex Mandossian one day said you would say it one day, and I'm like, no. But Sexy Boss was me kind of coming out party of like, hey, I'm shameful of this, but here's what I learned.
Yeah.
And then kind of, it was a lethargic process for me, that book. It was also really telling. Joe Sugarman's the one who came up with the name. He came up with the subtitle. He was like, you need to really support women in entrepreneurship. And I said, okay. So that's kind of how it all came to be.
Yeah.
And I give credit where credit is due, which is definitely Joe. But honestly, what I do now is I work with clients that come to me and say, hey, I have a message, and I think I know where my market is. And I got some medium going, but I'm not where I want to be. Most of my clients already have something going. They're like usually between 600,000 to 1.5, and then I take them up. I have a couple clients that come to me. They're like, I just got an idea. Fine. That's not a problem. Where it really works is when they've tried to launch something and they've gotten, and then I can really take them to the next level. So there's three levels: message, market, media. What happens a lot today, and I see this a lot, people come to me and go, hey, these people want to sell me this big, huge package to create a funnel for me on Facebook. And I'm like, that's really sexy and that's really great, but let's talk about that, because I don't think you're ready for that. Here's why. Your message is not clear. Your product is not clear, and you haven't tried to sell in other locations yet to really make sure that the data you give the Facebook people is right. If not, you're just throwing money at the door. I mean, you might as well just come to my house and just give me some cash for no reason. Like that's what you're doing. You're giving Zuckerberg more cash for no reason. So you've got to make sure before you start throwing money out media, which is a media buy, that you're clear. I'm constantly having people go, no, you're not ready. You got to pull back. You got to be clear before you start writing checks to people, because Zuckerberg will be happy to take your money. And he will not return it. And the Facebook funnel guys will be happy to build your funnel, and there's no guarantee. So you've got to start thinking through that process. And I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've seen the brands that work and see the brands that don't, and I have all this data that I then provide for my coaching clients, and that's what I do. And I know you do too.
Yeah. So. Nice. No, I love that. And I have somewhere in my note. Okay, yes. So moving from that, now we're talking about, I did some research on you. I read your book. I looked at social media. We're connected. I also tried to listen to some of your podcast interviews, and I saw that you have been on over 100. It was literally
300.
300.
Yeah, been over 300. Well, in iTunes, it might only show 100.
Yes.
Sometimes the shows go away.
Yeah, I think it's 17 rows by 6. So yeah, it was somewhere down there.
That's also, the 300 includes summits, includes YouTube channels, and includes real radio, terrestrial radio. They don't always put them on social. So That includes everything.
Okay.
Approximately 300 since June of 2015.
Man, that honestly speaking, if I could say anything about you, I'd just say you're like Miss Hustle or something. You're like the woman of action.
People ask me that all the time, and part of it is I never say no.
Yeah.
Because I learn from you too. I think no matter where people are at, I learn from them. I mean, I just did something for a woman yesterday, and she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it's you." And I'm like, why would I not add value to you? Yeah. Why would I not add value to your listeners? I'm not prejudiced there. I want to add value to whomever. Why would I restrict myself? I think lots of times speakers in general get very picky. Like, well, I want to make sure that I'm going to at least listen to 10,000 people or something like that. I'm like, why? You never know who's listening.
Yeah.
You never know who's your information is going to touch their heart and change their life. So I'm not picky. I'm not picky, and people, some people say that's not good, but I don't know. I just want to make sure that I add value. And I always ask myself this question before I do anything. And I do say no to people. I definitely do say no. That says, does this feed my confusion or strengthen my clarity? And if it adds clarity to me, then it'll add clarity to you. And if it adds clarity to you and me, then it's going to add clarity to someone else
that's listening.
That's a positive.
Yeah.
That's positive karma, I call it, in the world. And that will come back over time. And that's fine. So that's why. So I've been over 300 podcasts. There have been sometimes I've said no. That's you. But I just like to be generous.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm.
No, and I love that because the karmic effect is basically like in the Bible it says somewhere that cast your bread on the water and then after many days it'll come back to you and you don't even know who's going to give it to you. It's not the person you give it to. It could come from like somebody listening to this like, oh, I really like what she said with Chi here. Let me give her a call. Let's see if we can do some business together, or let me recommend somebody to her to come and listen to this show and maybe they'll get something out of it. Because I mean, what you put out in the world comes back to you, So I
had a woman who reached out to me. We're looking at coaching with her. She's so sweet. She said that she listened to she was on her way home from something. She started to listen to, I was on someone else's podcast and she doesn't remember either. And she was listening to me on someone else's show. And she said that she was so like enamored by everything that was going on that she until she just kept driving around the block until the podcast was over. And I was like, well, thank you. I mean, I was like, wow, really? Yeah. She's like, yeah, it just struck me because I felt you understood me. And it's like, yeah, I'm just authentic. Yeah. Right. So I could see her like just driving
around the block.
Right, like I'm just going to keep driving. I don't want to go home yet. So I think that's the power of podcasting and summits and YouTube today that we can do that.
Yeah. Love that. So what's got you excited these days? I know I saw on LinkedIn you're now the VP of Bot Nation, I believe.
Yeah.
So what's got you excited about bots and bot marketing?
So bots are super cool. I spoke at Affiliate Summit. I'm going to be speaking at Affiliate Management Days in Vegas about bots. And bots are super cool. I go on forever. But basically, it's about Facebook chat bots and the future of that. You're going to see them. Let me just give you the crux. So I think I have the graph. It's somewhere around early 2017, late 2016. If there's a graph between usability of Facebook and usability of Facebook Messenger, which the company Facebook looks at as two different apps. Yep. Okay. So if you look at that, it's more like this was Facebook Messenger way down here, and this is Facebook, and it's crossed. Yeah. And so people are saying, like, I have this on my phone. I don't have Facebook app. I don't really care what's happening in people's news feeds right now at the end of the day, but I have Facebook Messenger.
Same here.
Open because that's a communication tool. Yeah. Makes sense, right? Yeah. So that's happening more and more and more. People are starting to use it as a communication tool. And so you're seeing this like weird cross. So that's why Facebook Messenger is so important. So the Messenger app is open more. Email is open less. And so marketers are moving towards how can we get in front of the customer? Yeah. So it's Facebook Messenger.
Yeah. And if you look at, because I did some research a while back, if you look at Facebook's either 10K or 10Q, you can see like every quarter you can see the growth of the messenger bot, and you can also read the analyst reports and the analyst calls and find out what Mark Zuckerberg and the team at Facebook are thinking about where they're trying to get more clients from in terms of getting revenue for Facebook, the business. So I think it was very clever for them to split the two off.
Yeah, they totally split it off. And so about a year and a half ago, the Facebook team, or whatever, asked the question, how do we become the dominating factor in local business? Okay, so the next question around that was, well, let's open up our API to Facebook Messenger, see what happens. Because they didn't want to figure it out. So they said, well, we'll just what I call tap some people in Silicon Valley, and they can start businesses around it, and then they'll figure it out for us, and then we'll buy one of them or something. Yeah. I'm sure that's probably what they thought. Like, we don't want to figure it out. We'll just give them a new business, and then we'll buy them out. And that's what happened. So now there's all these companies out there, as ManyChat, Chatfuel, Chat People, all these softwares that have access to API to Facebook. And the point was basically, you guys go figure out how businesses are going to use this. And that's where we're in. We're literally in where email was in like 1999. You know what I mean? Wow. Facebook is trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure it out. No one's figured it out yet. We're all just like trying to figure it out. We just know the eyeballs are there. So that's why it's so important.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Great. I love that. And as we start to wind down the show, Heather, I know we can talk a lot all day, but it's coming up on the hour, and I really just want to wrap it up so that you can get to your next appointment. So we've talked a lot about your background. We've talked a lot about your business. Now, in terms of... Okay, you know what? Forget about that. I was going to talk about in terms of the future and all that. Today is Valentine's Day. And I promise people at the beginning of the show, we'll talk a little bit about Valentine. We'll talk a little bit about encouragement, So give us some words of wisdom for those of us or those people that are going to celebrate Valentine's Day. Because you know what? I typically wait a couple weeks to post this up, but I'm just going to post this today, right?
You're going to post it today. Okay.
As soon as we're done, I'm going to post
it. Oh, good. I like that. Valentine's. First of all, I have to, because I'm a marketer, so I have two levels of this. Yeah. First of all, as a marketer, I want to, point out to Hallmark, you're brilliant. That's
great job. Huh?
Great job. Great job of creating an entire day, an entire holiday around buying stuff from your company. That's all I have to say about that. That's brilliant. The next thing is Valentine's is a fun day. I mean, it's a fun day. I remember, growing up and doing stuff. But I would say I have I have a talk that I've done where I talk about all women are crazy. Just don't date women who are psycho. Don't date or marry a psycho is kind of I call it. And what I would say to men who are listening, if you are, and women, that look, all women are cray-cray. We're all cray-cray. We're all cray-cray. Yeah. But there's a difference between cray-cray and fun cray-cray. Yeah. And right? So psycho's like the one who'll take the knife and like slash your tires. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And cray-cray might just be a little screaming crazy, may throw a plate. You know what I'm saying? But I think that all women are a little cray-cray. And,
so it doesn't grow from throwing the plates to slash your tires?
There's a big leap there, right? Yeah. I mean, I've been known to maybe throw something across the room, not trying to hit them, just like throw it. But I would never slash the tire. Yeah. You know what I mean? I would never slash the tire. That's a little psycho. So I always tell men, it's okay to cray-cray, but not psycho. Because men, I used to teach men how to date women. I still do sometimes. And I always have men say, she's crazy. And I'm like, and like, we're all cray-cray. Right? You might see me not right now cray-cray, but I got my cray-cray going on. So I think every woman who's powerful and has got energy, has got a little sass to her, a little cray-cray to her, it's the psychos you got to be a little aware of. Yeah. There's cray-cray and then there's psychos. So I would say have fun tonight. If you're single and I'm just out of a relationship. I was engaged, so I'm single. If you're single, I would say love yourself and take care of yourself and do something for yourself and take a bath or go get a massage or do something for yourself. Love on yourself. It doesn't always have to be love of another person.
Yeah.
Love on yourself. That's a big one. As a sexy boss, here's what sexy boss means. Sexy boss means this. So sexy part, and this is for men and women. Sexy means they own who they are in the feminine or masculine energy. They own that feminine and masculine energy within themselves.
Yeah.
And the boss part is they own all areas of their life. Financial, physical, mental, spiritual, right? They own all areas of their life. And Joe Sugarman is the one that came up with the name.
Yeah.
However, this is what I'm preaching or talking about or communicating is out of the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, chapter 12, Sex Transmutation.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm the first one to talk about it, but yeah, I think that I've just renamed it. Sex Transmutation chapter sounds really odd in today's world. I think owning who you are sexually or in the sexual energy is a better term, or charismatic energy or something like be better. Chapter 12, Sex Transmutation, Think and Grow Rich. Go read that chapter.
Great.
Yeah.
And I think that's a wrap. That's a wrap. No. It's not a wrap yet, but that's where we'll leave it today because we're almost at the top of the hour. So, but before I let you go, I want you to tell us where people can find you, get your book, reach out to you and contact you, connect with you on social media. Tell us a little bit about your podcast, also The Win, before you go. So let's give us everything.
I would love for you to check me out. You can go to heatherhavenwood.com, heatherhavenwood.com. If you're interested in having a conversation with me and how I can take your business to the next level, you can go to callwithheather.com, and there's an opportunity just to get on the call with me. It'll be me, and have a conversation. And, of course, my book is at sexybossinc.com and on Amazon. The show The Win's been so much fun. I'm on 43 different radio stations across the country.
Whoa, nice.
I'm on AM, FM, approximately 30,000 listeners per week. And I'm on Spotify, which is super cool, and iHeartRadio as well. So I'm everywhere.
Yeah.
And the show is really designed to bring in resources and people like yourself that are up to big things that want to share their story and some tips and tricks to be a successful entrepreneur and how to win.
Nice. I love it. All I do is win, no matter what. So that's it. We've reached the end of the show. Heather, it's been such a pleasure spending this 1 hour with you. I've really learned a ton. I'm sure everybody listening and watching this video has learned a ton. And we should continue success in all your many, many ventures. And of course, should you write another book, Sexy Boss 2, I'd be more than happy to take a read and then interview you about what next you're up to.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. And we're done.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the show today. If you love what you hear on today's episode of the podcast, go to iTunes and leave a review and a comment. It helps other great listeners like yourself find the show. And of course, you can always find more episodes of the Bulletproof Entrepreneur Podcast at www.odogwu.com.